My name's Henry Doohan. I am owner of Donegal Tourguide, private chauffeur travel based in County Donegal. Originally I'm from Fulcara, that's where I was born and grew up there. My wife is from Buncran and now I live here for the past, God knows, nearly 20 years now at this stage. But I've also got ties to Tourguide. My connection to the sea would pretty much be that my father was a fisherman. He was born in Tourguide Island, that's where he was born and grew up. So you can't get more maritime than Tourguide Island there. It's a little island 3 miles by 1 out in the North Sea there. It's about 9 miles off the coast of Donegal. So as I said, he was a fisherman. That was his income for all the time when I was growing up in the 80s. And I never went into that trade myself, but that's the closest I have come to being a fisherman. It's only really in retrospect that I thought about what my dad did. Like, my dad had many other jobs. He was a contractor over in London in the 60s and he was a great carpenter as well. But really, when I was a young fella, I remember that my father would be away at sea for a long time. I remember, like, I was only a young fella at the time, but I remember that it would be all, me and my brother and sister would be clambering into the bed with Mammy and when he'd be away, and then you'd come back again, you'd see him, and usually our sitting room or our kitchen have a load of nets in it. It was hard work, like, you know. And then as kind of the time went on, the fishing industry kind of had a bit of a nosedive and my father just left it. He said himself he was getting a bit too old for it himself, but from then on he became a carpenter and all that, and just took really fishing off the table. It was never really something that we aspired to doing then. It was just one of these things. We were always taught that fishing was a hard game, it was cold, it was lonely, it was very difficult, and really wasn't something that we really wanted to do. When I was at school there, and I was what you'd probably call an uninspired student, as the teacher told me, I had brains to burn, but had a lot of daydreaming to do as well. So I never really followed the academic thing. After I left school, I went into the building sites. I thought it was the bee's knees there. I was earning so much money back in the boom times. All my friends went to college, and I just didn't want to stay home. I didn't have any interest of heading off to Dublin to the rat race. I wanted to stay here. Eventually, gladly I left the building and I went on to follow what I really wanted to do, was media training, different things like that, working documentaries. There was a little bit of that back in the early 2000s, and I fell into that there. And then afterward, then I just found my girlfriend, or then wife now, and that really kind of sealed the deal. That's where we wanted to stay in Donegal. We love Donegal, we love the people here, we love living here, and we love this laid back kind of environment we have here as well. So leaving Donegal never really something that we wanted to do. Well, I found out very late that there was some job to do in tour guiding. I was always a bit of a square peg in a round hole. Tried various jobs, never liked them, never interested in them. I've always wanted to do a bit of kind of probably presenting or entertaining. I do radio shows, present on the local radio, different things like that. Closest you can get to presenting is tour guiding. You know, you're standing up in front of a crowd, you're telling a story, telling a spiel, a wee yarn or whatever like that. I kind of fell into the role of tour guide. I was asked by a friend of mine, Mangan Tours, once to fill in a role. He said, "Gee, you have a real knack for this." And then I took it a bit more seriously. After that, then I went to college, got all the relevant driving licenses and everything, insurances and everything, and kind of made the role for myself. So I'm very proud of what I've done in a very short time, making Donegal Tourguide like one of the best tour guides you can get in the county. Well, it was really the Wild Atlantic Way what's done that. Like, you know, as you know, like in Donegal, it's always been considered like the poor cousin. We never really had that many tourists coming up here. If we ever did, they're always going to Donegal town and scattling back down again. But with the Wild Atlantic Way, it was kind of driving people a bit more north into the country there, like, so you could get into places like Fulcara and out to Gidor, places that no tourists would never normally go to. As well as that, up to Inishowen. Now, everyone's always heard of Malin Head, but nobody really would have gone over to Kinnico Bay or over to Greencastle and that really. So the Wild Atlantic Way really kind of drove tourism into the county. I just tapped into that. I knew there was a lot of Americans coming in. 99% of my tourists, my business are American tourists, and it was just following them and bringing them into the county and letting them come with me onto my tours was what I kind of added it all up and realised that this is a job for me here. Well, I'm very lucky that, and as I said, in a very short time I've built up a really great connection. Sorry, in a very short time, I've built up a great network of colleagues and other tour guides all down the country. They know that I'm a serious guy. I'm also very reputable. I've got a good reputation with all of the tours that I've done, and I've got a great TripAdvisor result there as well. So it's just kind of getting word of mouth out there. My website's been very, very good. My social media as well, all done by my great wife there. She's a marketing director, so she's helped me a lot with that. So that is how people are finding me in the States. When they're before they even come to Ireland, they're finding me online, and then they're also kind of booking me before they even get into the country. Oh God, Donegal! Donegal has it all. That's the thing. So much to see in Donegal. You got, as you say, you've got like 1,100 kilometres of coastline, most coastline of all of the counties of Ireland. That's the thing that I think the main draw for the county is that a lot of people, like within even in the inland counties of Ireland, they never really see the sea. I remember my cousins coming up from Galway would pester me all the time, take me down to the beach every summer. Like, they love the beach, they love to see the sea. So Donegal's like maritime history here. You've got shipwrecks all out there, you've got castles right by the water, you've got the cliffs, you've got so much to see and do. There's so much sightseeing around Donegal. As well as that, you've got a great people to visit as well. The food's fantastic here. The pub, well, in the good times, the pub life was great as well. So, as I said, Donegal has it all. The days of going out to sea and catching your dinner there and all that, they're kind of long gone, like with the way shopping is now. But I'm happy and I'm lucky that I've kind of adapted my tours to bring in the maritime feel, like, bringing people to beaches, bringing people down to the coastline, bringing them down to, say, Greencastle, Killybegs and all that, seeing these big super trawlers and all that. Sometimes they would never, as you say, close to come to fish is what they bring out of the supermarket freezer. So I'm very happy that, like, my business has a little bit of what my father would have dealt with back when he used to be able to see. My tours, they're personalised, okay? So, I mean, am I the best tour guide? No. I'm not even the best tour guide in the house, like, I know that myself. But I'm not all about history, I'm not all about facts and figures. I'm on about a day out, It's all about kind of having a bit of fun. Like, I do know all of this stuff as well, like through my college days, like learning all the histories. But, like, I know people on tours at night, they don't care about how old that castle was, or how big this bridge is, or how long, whatever it is. They want to know how much that house cost over there. What does this guy do for a living? What's the scandal with this fellow over here? And it's all a personal thing. It's just a bit of local knowledge as well. That's what I bring in my tours. It's a fun day out for people who've never experienced Donegal. Oh yeah, well, I started the business in 2019 there, and I hit the ground running. Full books there for the whole year, and then into 2020 it was going to be my year. So it was, as you know, I bought a brand new van in March, and then literally that week, COVID hit, and nothing but cancellations, postponements really, for all my visitors. Since then, with restrictions, different, every day you have to check the newspaper to see what you can do that day. It's been very, very difficult. So for myself, it has been really a waiting game. I had a few day tours here and there when certain restrictions were lifted, but nothing to make a living out of it as well. So it's really a waiting game now this year. I thought about adapting my tours to make them public, but with safety and different regulations, things like that, it's just not possible to have visitors who don't know each other all in the vehicle. It's such a small quarter. So this year is really just going to be a waiting game to see will I be able to last to see 2021. Well, I'm going to still keep on surviving here as best I can there. I also offer my chauffeur service there, so whenever people return to travelling again, and they will travel again because everybody's getting itchy feet here, they want to get out. So I'm hoping that there'll be a vaccine at some point. As soon as that happens, it'll be a game changer. Everybody will be back out again. People want to see the country, they want to see Donegal as well. So I'm just kind of going to sit and bide my time here and wait for the visitors to return. In between that, I'm hoping that I'll just be able to make a living out of my chauffeur services. Yes, well, staycation really wasn't great for myself. I've heard how great staycation was for everybody else, and I'm delighted. I've never seen so many people in the county. It made it a bit more difficult for me to run my own tours around because of so much traffic on the roads. But for me, I never really made much business with the staycation because everybody who's coming to Donegal had their own vehicles. Now saying that, I did have a couple of tours with people from counties Cavan and Offaly and things like that, and they were one of the best tours I've had, like on all of my travels. There are people that had never been to Donegal before. They loved it, and it was just like being on a little day tour with your cousins, like because they were Irish. They knew we all had the same kind of outlook. We're all Irish, like, you know, so we all had the kind of same kind of jokes. We all knew who Father Ted was, so we could make them references. You didn't have to spend about 2 minutes explaining who Father Ted was, as you do to the Americans, like, you know. So staycationing wasn't great for me, but I'm glad it happened because it really opened up the county, and I'm hoping that there will be return visitors as well. For sure, yeah. My family here are in the show now. My family, my parents, they're all still in Donegal and Fulcara. So this is where I want to be. I couldn't imagine living in any other county as well, because it's like, as I said, this county has everything you want to be. It has the peace, it has, you know, the lovely people, it has the lovely scenery as well. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to try my best to be able to provide for my family to stay here, operating Donegal Tourguide.
Excellent.